ਅਕਾਲ ਨਮਸਕਾਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਸੰਝਾ ਟੀਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਰਸ਼ਦੀਪ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ BC ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਅਪਡੇਟ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਕੀ ਕੁਝ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ BC ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨਸ ਦੇ ਸੰਬੰਧੀ ਖਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਸਾਡੀ ਸਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੇ ਮੁੱਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੇਨ ਮੁੱਦੇ ਬਣ ਕੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉੱਭਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਇਸ ਸੰਦਰਭ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅੱਜ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਡਿਬੇਟਸ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਡਿਬੇਟ ਵੀ ਦਿਖਾਵਾਂਗੇ ਪਰ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਟੂਡੀਓ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ ਸੀਨੀਅਰ ਜਰਨਲਿਸਟ ਮਿਸਟਰ CJ ਸਿੱਧੂ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਸਿੱਧੂ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ ਜੀ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ
ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਅਰਸ਼ and just ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ early on today we did a live
hello Anita thank you to you
Andrew Wilkinson announced hospital again for in Surrey Cloverdale so well not by BC Liberals again, but NDP announced it, and then Andrew Wilkinson, a leader of BC Liberal Party, announced that today in Surrey. And ਉਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਦੋਨੇ ਹੀ ਪਾਰਟੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ SkyTrain from going from Surrey to Langley now. And then Liberal Party also in a favor of extending that. So काफी announcements आ रही हैं, काफी contradiction हो रहे हैं. जिस तरह की Liberal leader ने कहा है कि John Horgan ने hospital announce किया सीगा when they won the last election 3 years ago. 3 साल ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ there is not even a land is bought.
CJ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਹਰ ਕੋਈ ਪ੍ਰੋਮਿਸ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਪਰ ਅੱਜ ਸਰੀ ਦੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟਸ ਚਾਹੇ ਲਿਬਰਲਸ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਚਾਹੇ ਉਹ ਗ੍ਰੀਨ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਚਾਹੇ ਉਹ NDP ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਦੀ ਡਿਬੇਟ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਵਰਚੁਅਲ ਡਿਬੇਟ ਆਓ ਆਪਾਂ ਦਰਸ਼ਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਉਸ ਡਿਬੇਟ ਦੇ ਵੱਲ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਕੀ ਕੁਝ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਡਿਬੇਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੀ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਡਿਬੇਟ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਡਿਬੇਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿ ਕੀ ਕੁਝ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਪੁੱਛੇ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟਸ ਕੀ ਕੁਝ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਸੋ ਦੇਖੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਡਿਬੇਟ ਨੂੰ
Thank you for attending the Surrey Board of Trade and the South Asian Business Association BC Election Candidate Dialogue in preparation for the October 24th vote in our beautiful province of British Columbia. This event is sponsored by the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board. Thank you so much for your sponsorship. My name is Anita Huberman. I'm CEO of the Surrey Board of Trade, and I am your moderator for this session. Just a note to the audience that this event is being live streamed locally and internationally, and it is being recorded. Thank you so much to FYI Media and Sanjha TV for live streaming this event, and a special thank you to Mr. CJ Siddhu for your support. The Surrey Board of Trade acknowledges that we are on the unceded territory of our Coast Salish people, specifically the Kwantlen, Katzie, Semiahmoo, and Tawasin First Nations. The Surrey Board of Trade is Surrey's city building business organization. We are the top 10 largest boards of trades, chambers of commerce in Canada. There's 450 of us in our nation. And we are making Surrey an opportunity city by instigating change at the different levels of government, by being a concierge of connections, creating global business connections through our Surrey International Trade Center, and providing education, cost-saving, time-saving benefits to our 6,000 member contacts. We have the only rapid response business center in our nation that is supporting businesses through this pandemic and through these uncertain economic times. Check out our website at businessinsurrey.com. And I wanted to let the audience know that both the Surrey Board of Trade and the South Asian Business Association believe that voting is a privilege. Voting connects citizens with their political process. It helps choose our leaders, those who share our views or those who may inspire us. The simple act of marking a ballot tells our leaders what we think about decisions that affect our everyday lives, that affect the businesses that we run. By respectfully agreeing or disagreeing with our leaders, we show that the political system can accept differing points of view, and we can resolve them collaboratively. A democratic community can only survive if its citizens see participation in the political process as a duty and as a responsibility. We hope that all of the candidates that we are engaging with today believe in a positive political discourse this afternoon. Surrey voters deserve that. Surrey is going to be the largest city in British Columbia very soon. Surrey matters to British Columbia. And now I ask Mr. Victor Law of the South Asian Business Association to say a few words. Victor, over to you.
Thank you, Anita. And on behalf of the Surrey Board of Trade and the South Asian Business Association, I would like to thank you and welcome all the candidates and the attendees to this forum here. It's a great pleasure to partner up with the Surrey Board of Trade. This is probably our third or fourth virtual event in 2020. So yes, like Anita said, this is a growing city of Surrey here. We want to work all together. We're all about the business community. We're all about giving back. We live in a beautiful city here. We're definitely going to be outgrowing Vancouver in the next few years. So let's all work together, make a big difference to the business community. And again, thank you, Anita, for giving the South Asian Association opportunity to partner up with the Surrey Board of Trade. And good luck to all the candidates over here.
Thank you so much, Victor. And now our supporting sponsor, the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board. Please help me welcome Mr. Narinder Bains. Narinder, over to you. While we're waiting for Narinder to come on, I just wanted to say that the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board, the real estate development construction sector is thriving in our city. And the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board has been an ongoing sponsor of all of these all-candidate debates through the years. And I've been with the Surrey Board of Trade for over 27 years. So thank you again to the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board. Do we have Narinder on the call?
I'm on here.
Go ahead, please.
Anita, thank you so much. Hello, everyone. This is Narinder Bains. I'm a realtor and a member of the Fraser Real Estate Board. I'm here with my fellow realtor, Ishaq Ismail, on the other side. Fraser Real Estate Board represents approximately about 3,700 realtors in 7 communities south of the Fraser River, including Abbotsford, Mission, Langley City, and Langley Township, North Delta, Surrey, White Rock. And we are a member of the communities, and we work closely with people on some of the most significant decisions of their lives. We have been supporting these types of meetings since 2001 because we feel it's important to know who we are voting for in the election and what they stand for. After all, the people we have elected to be our representatives will make decisions on our behalf on our future. We hope the political party of forming the next provincial government will support policy that encourage economic vitality, provide more housing opportunities, and respect environment. We appreciate Surrey Board of Trade, Chamber of Commerce Board of Trade for making it possible for us to hear from candidates. We look forward to meeting you in a dialogue. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And now the process. To all the candidates, thank you so much for being here and letting everyone know what your perspectives are on different issues that matter to Surrey, British Columbia. Number 1, each riding in Surrey is going to receive a different question. Number 2, the order of who responds will rotate through the candidates, beginning with the Greens, Liberals, and then the NDP. Questions, number 3, are going to be positioned in themes for the most part. No candidate has been given the questions in advance. Number 4, candidates, if you haven't already, please mute your line. When your riding and party are called, please quickly unmute your line to speak. We have until 6:30 p.m. with you this evening. Number 5, each candidate will have 1 minute only to answer the question. Your timing will actually begin after you say your name, your party, and your riding. Our timekeeper, Jazrub Gosal, number 6, will let you know when your time is up. and he will automatically mute your line at the 1 minute mark, even if you have not finished speaking. Number 7, we will conclude the program with each candidate providing 1 minute of closing remarks on anything you may want to say. And the final thing I wanted to indicate is, again, thank you to all of you for running in this BC election. It takes great courage to run for political office. You care about Surrey, you care about British Columbia, and in essence, you also care about our beautiful nation. As we continue to restart our economy and recover from the pandemic, we need to be looking forward to ensure that we have a strong economic future. Our local and our international audience are watching you today. We look forward to hearing your perspectives. Again, thank you, and let's begin. So, from Surrey Green Timbers, your question is going to be your perspective on, or your party's perspective on election integrity, ethics and integrity in decision making. Dilraj Atwal from the Liberal Party, you're first.
Hi, thank you, Nita. Thank you very much for the introduction, and thanks for setting this up. My name is Dilraj Atwal. I'm your MLA candidate from Surrey Green Timber, BC Liberal Party. These elections are very uncalled for. We are going through a pandemic right now. We're going through a second wave of Corona right now. People are getting sick. People want to be home. They want to be safe. But we are rushed into an election. We're being pushed into an election. Everyone has to participate now just because the NDP government wants to be in power again. It's a misuse of power. It's a wrong timing for elections. The kids are getting sick at school. People are concerned about their health. The economy is not doing well. Rather than looking after people's health, we're looking into an election, which is happening a year before when it was supposed to be. All the parties were in favor of not having election except for NDP. Just for their own power grab politics, they got this election going on. We are totally against this policy because people are going through a hardship time, a rough time, a tough time, and they are thrown into an election. There's so much money being spent on the election. It's going to be a lot of cost. This money could have been used towards people and their benefit during this time. But no.
Rachna Singh, NDP, same question, election integrity.
Thank you so much, Anita. Thank you for this opportunity. Rachna Singh, candidate, BC NDP candidate for Surrey Green Timbers. As you have mentioned, Anita, that voting is a privilege, and I really want to remind everyone that that's what it is. And we have the full faith in the integrity of the election process, election BC, and especially during this election, we are giving all the residents of Surrey and all over BC the opportunity, more opportunity to vote. It is the democratic process. We want every citizen, every voter to be full participant. And one thing that I really believe in, this is a voting privilege, especially South Asian Business Association is also joining us today. This is a privilege that was not given to us on platter. We had to fight for it. But we have 7 days, keeping in mind the pandemic, 7 days for advance voting. We have the mail-in ballot option and also the actual date to vote. And full faith in the elections BC process and the integrity of the election process.
So for the Surrey Wally candidates, your topic is, what is your party's perspective on homelessness and poverty reduction in Surrey? We'll begin with Shaukat Khan from the Liberal Party.
Thank you very much, Anita. My name is Shaukat Khan, and I am BC Liberal candidate from Surrey Wally. As you must have seen that we have announced BC Liberal Senior Plan for homelessness. And again, Surrey Wally is one of the areas where homelessness has increased, unfortunately. So again, quickly connecting on unprecedented elections, those homeless people needed the help that they wanted, and we should have been able to give them the support that is needed. But election was called without taking their needs into account for. But yeah, new senior home tax credit has been announced up to $7,000. I think it's going to bring a lot of relief. And we should be all not focusing on what we are going to do, but we should be focusing on bringing the immediate relief to the people in need. There is also $1 billion that has been allocated and has been announced to improve the long-term care homes. So 1 bedroom unit would be constructed for all those seniors who need that attention. And yes, absolutely.
Bruce Ralston.
Hi, Bruce Ralston. I'm the BC NDP candidate for Surrey Whalley. Well, sometimes people unfairly pick on Whalley, and I know that, for example, Sharan Sethi, who's a major developer in our community, has a major project to remake our image. I think it's very important, and we've made a lot of progress. But under the BC Liberals from 2014 to 2017, homelessness in Surrey went up by 50%. We came to power in 2017, and many of you will remember the Whalley Strip, a tent city where crime, drug dealing, and a number of other social problems gathered. It was there for years and years and years. The Liberals did nothing. We partnered with the city of Surrey and moved all of those people into modular housing, largely in Surrey Whalley. So yes, there are challenges, and we have a very determined program building 110,000 units over the next 10 years. We have 25,000 either built or underway, and we are tackling that problem.
To the candidates of Surrey Guildford, what is your party's perspective as we move through the pandemic and working with the provincial health orders, working with the business community? And I speak of the restaurant sector, the banquet halls in Surrey, and all of those businesses that have been compromised while still adhering to health and safety protocols. What is your party's perspective related to that? And Jody Murphy, we'll begin with you.
Thank you, Anita, and thank you to the hosts for having this event. I'm Jody Murphy, the Surrey Guildford candidate for the BC Greens. Speaking specifically to the business community, a big part of your audience here today, I'm sure. The BC Greens small business rent program is aimed at one of the biggest costs that businesses face and has a very low bar entry so that we could get financial support to businesses right away. Pardon me. The BC Greens are allocating $300 million to create a 6-month rent subsidy program for small businesses, keeping it simple, keeping it consistent with the federal wage subsidy program. Just as key federal support comes to an end, we're seeing the provincial government support being delayed by this NDP unnecessary election. Instead of debating these supports on the campaign trail, government should be in the legislature working on implementing them. There's no reason to not be there right now, working together and getting this money to the businesses that need it. It has been delayed, as reported in the Globe and Mail, money that was approved and then several days later.
Dave Hans, same question. Dave Hans.
This is Dave Hans, Surrey Guildford riding. Let's talk about banquet halls first. And I think it's an unfair decision. It's not a well thought decision. I seriously believe the banquet halls were targeted. As hotels are still open, this doesn't make any sense. Schools are open. Why NDP was targeting banquet halls? It does not make any sense. And as far as the service industry is concerned, we are talking about restaurants and stuff. We have already said that we will eliminate PST for a year, and that will help the service industry big time. It will not only put money in people's pocket, it will also help small businesses. This is a real plan. It's not a promise like NDP is doing on everything and then they don't deliver. This is a real plan, real money that's going to go into people's pocket, and it will jumpstart the economy. It will boost the economy. That's why you need Liberals in power more than ever. Thank you.
Gary Begg.
Thank you, Anita, and thank you to your organization and the other organizations for allowing us this opportunity to speak on these important issues. I think it's important, first of all, to understand that COVID-19 is a pandemic, the purview of which falls completely within the provincial health officer. And she, thankfully, is making her decisions based upon scientific evidence. When COVID-19 first struck in this province, we provided more than $700 million in tax relief by cutting property tax bills by 25% for businesses. That's an average of $5,600 a year for every business in this province. We used rebates through BC Hydro for businesses that had to close. We allowed restaurants to purchase alcohol at wholesale prices, and we advocated with the federal government for improvements to federal supports like 75% wage subsidy and loan programs. Two things are important. We were guided by the medical evidence in our decision, and we made our plans accordingly. It's important to know that.
To the candidates of Surrey Fleetwood, what is your party's perspective on affordable housing? And more specifically, as the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board wants to know, how will you work on fast-tracking development processes, increasing housing supply in Surrey? Dean McGee, we'll begin with you. Dean McGee.
So on the topic of affordable housing, we know that people are moving to Surrey, and they're moving to Surrey because they cannot afford the city of Vancouver and even some of the closer suburbs. So we need to keep building in Surrey, but when we build out in Surrey, we need to keep having the services. We need to keep building schools, community centers, fire halls. Everything needs to keep going with the development. So we'll keep going, add more houses, and also to have more zoning, excuse me, dog here, to zone houses so that we have more multifamily and density along the transit. So we'll have the transit along now Fraser Highway, and we can densify.
Gary Thind.
Hello, Anita. Thank you to you and to the panelists, and good evening all the candidates. My name is Gary Thind. I'm the BC Liberal candidate from Surrey Fleetwood riding. As a realtor, I understand that the housing is all based on the supply and demand. So we need to bring as many as possible, whether it's single family houses or multi-family houses into the market. Because if we have enough supply, there will be, the prices will come down eventually. The second thing is that the Liberal government, they announced a PST rebate for 1 year and then 3% in second year. That will bring the construction down for a regular home size by 19,500 on an average for a single family house. That will bring the cost down on the construction of the houses, whereas it will become affordable for the buyers as well. At the same time, it will attract more builders throughout the nation to come into BC and invest here. So I think that PST rebate will be a big push for the housing affordability.
Jagrup Brar. Jagrup Brar.
Thank you, Anita. Thanks for this organizing this beautiful evening for everyone. I just want to begin by saying the BC Liberals turned a blind eye to dirty money in the province of British Columbia, and that caused huge problem when it comes to housing affordability to the people of British Columbia. But I'm very pleased to say that I'm part of John Horgan NDP government that has actually passed a legislation, what they call the poverty reduction plan, and part of that is building affordable homes. And we have dedicated $7 billion to build affordable homes throughout the province, and we are working closely with the local government to start that project as quickly as possible. And we have been very successful, close to I think of over 20,000 affordable homes have been already either under construction or have been already completed. So this is an area where 16 years the Liberals have completely ignored, but we are moving forward to make sure the people of British Columbia have a place.
To the candidates of Surrey Cloverdale, what is your party's perspective on the Surrey police transition? Rebecca Smith, we will begin with you.
Thank you, Anita. It's important that we talk about this. Everyone deserves to be safe in their city, and everyone deserves to have a reliable policing force to depend on. While this is a municipal responsibility, I will fall back on the tenets of the BC Green Party's political platform. We believe in participatory democracy. We believe in transparency. And we believe in sustainable and sustainable and scientific evidence-based decision-making. Based on that, I will speak as a citizen and a taxpayer in Surrey that this has not been happening in Surrey at all. The decision was made by a mayor that did not have an overwhelming majority of the population supporting him. Although he did get elected, he doesn't have the majority of the population behind him. He has not been transparent in the financial and...
Marvin Hunt.
Thank you, Anita. I'm Marvin Hunt. I'm running with the BC Liberals in Surrey Cloverdale. And the police transition, as described by the NDP leader, is a hornet's nest in Surrey because there was not a process instituted when the first request came from the Surrey Council to the provincial government. The provincial government has responsibility for police services through the entire province, and they did not set up a process by which Surrey could make this. And so as a result, by not setting up a process for this change, we have people not being informed. We don't know what's happening with the taxes. We don't know what's happening with infrastructure. We don't know all the various implications of what this is going to do to other police forces within the Lower Mainland, as well as our relationships with them. So that is why the BC Liberals are going to put a hold on the process so that the information can get out. There can be openness, transparency, leading to a referendum where the people can get their voice expressed.
Mike Starchuk. Please unmute your line, Mike Starchuk.
Thank you, Anita. And my name is Mike Starchuk. I'm the NDP candidate for Surrey Cloverdale. Public safety has been in the forefront of my life for 40 years, but the people of Surrey deserve to feel safe, and a process has to be transparent. But right now, it's a municipal decision, and that's what the BC Liberals have been saying all along. For Andrew Wilkinson, all of a sudden to take an interest just to score some political points is ridiculous. It's just chaos. Marvin Hunt knows it's not a provincial decision, and that's why he's been silent up until now. And now Andrew Wilkinson wants to have a non-binding referendum and have the city pay for it. I mean, I don't know how you can trust anything Andrew Wilkinson says about the Surrey Police. There's a Surrey Police Board in place to ensure the process is transparent. And us as a provincial government need to make sure that that transparency continues on right till the very end. I've been doing this for 40 years. I have not been silent from the beginning about what's important for the citizens of Surrey when it comes to public safety. I've said it from the beginning. I say it right now. It has to be a transparent process that's there for that decision to be made.
To the candidates of Surrey South, what is your perspective on a competitive tax system for businesses? We'll begin with Tim Ibbotson, please. Tim Ibbotson.
Hi there, Tim Ibbotson, BC Greens, Surrey South. Competitive tax system for small businesses. I'm sorry, I can't speak on this. We don't have something, and I would have to go first, so I'll pass.
Okay, thank you very much. Stephanie Cadoux.
Thank you, Anita. Stephanie Cadoux, Surrey South for the BC Liberals. Before I get into the competitive tax piece, which I am happy to speak on. I will just do need to clarify for the record. The city of Surrey would not pay for the referendum. That would be paid for by the provincial government. That was a lie.
If we don't have to talk
as it goes for taxes.
Sorry, please let her speak.
Thank you. As for taxes, we believe that a competitive tax system is absolutely essential. Businesses are struggling. That's why we've announced a 2% or a reduction in 2% of the small business tax by 2%, and additional supports for small businesses, including the relief of the PST for a year, plus partial relief in the second year. This is an opportunity to help businesses get back on their feet and help the economy move forward. If we're not competitive, business can't survive, and with their loss of those businesses goes the loss of jobs, and we can't afford that in British Columbia.
Thank you. Pauline Greaves. Please unmute your line.
Pauline Greaves for the NDP in Surrey South. The issue here with the tax cuts is that with Andrew Wilkinson promising tax cuts for those who need them the least, what John Organ is focusing on is on people who need help the most, which is why he's put in place tremendous amount of support for individuals and for businesses to be able to get on their feet, with creating jobs and rebuilding BC through the new Recovery Investment Fund. It allows for additional amount of money to go in and to support business. It also allows for small business to be able to benefit from some of those cuts and from some of those tax credits that have been given. And so it is absolutely crucial that we work on a system of tax that is going to benefit everyone, not just some people.
To the candidates of Surrey White Rock, if you were in power during the pandemic, if your party was in power, how would you have handled the pandemic and economic recovery? Pixie Hobby, you're first.
Thank you. My name is Pixie Hobby, and I am the Green Party candidate for Surrey White Rock. If I were in power during the pandemic, I am sure that we would, if we had had a green government, we would have not had all the kerfuffle and confusion over the CERB and all the other initiatives that were circulating at the time. We would have had a guaranteed livable income. It would have been easy to administer. Everybody would have been receiving benefits quickly and efficiently. The payback, if there wasn't one required, would happen at tax time. We would have rejoiced in the fact that the reduction in air pollution caused by the lack of burning fossil fuels through motor vehicles and airplanes gave us a beautiful, clear view, fresh air.
Trevor Halford.
Thank you. Trevor Halford, Surrey White Rock. A couple of things. Number one, I'd be taking the advice of Dr. Bonnie Henry. And I think British Columbians are very proud of the work that Dr. Henry has done. And I'll point out it was a BC Liberal government that brought in Dr. Henry, and a BC Liberal government would continue to take the advice of Dr. Henry. The second thing I'd say, and it's something I've heard from numerous people in Surrey White Rock, is that I wouldn't be focused on an election. I would be focused on how we're meeting the needs of our constituents, either small businesses, family, or education. And right now, there are a lot of scared business owners, employees, parents. I'm one of them. I've got 3 kids, and I think all of them are watching right now. And it is very unnerving time. And to be honest, we should be focusing on how we're protecting the jobs of British Columbians, not how we're protecting the jobs of British Columbian political leaders. And I think that's at the foremost of our minds right now. And keep moving forward.
Brent Smith, you're next.
Hi, my name is Bryn Smith. I'm your NDP candidate for Surrey White Rock. My party has actually had the benefit of being in charge while the pandemic has been going on. And I think that it's fair to say the recovery has been world-class. The fact is we've had a consistently lower number of cases than other major provinces throughout the country. We've successfully avoided a second wave. We have listened to Dr. Bonnie Henry, and that's why we've been implementing the measures to protect small businesses and people that we have. But for me, I think what it comes down to is there's been a lot of talk of economic recovery, and there's been a lot of talk about how a PST rebate is going to help with that. But the fact is that blowing a $10 billion hole in the budget is not going to do it. The fact is that we have to make sure that our economy is stable. And the way we do that is through stimulating the economy on the demand side of the curve, not just on the supply side. So that means making sure that consumers are confident that they're not going to get COVID when they go out. That means making sure that people are confident that they have the spending power in order to spend on small businesses. So for me, I'm very proud of the economic recovery.
To the candidates of Surrey Panorama, what is your party's perspective on healthcare needs in Surrey? Gulzar Chima, we'll begin with you.
Hello, thank you so much for giving this opportunity. This is a topic very close to my heart. I'm a practicing physician. I understand the implications of major health difficulties Surrey is facing. Surrey is the only city in this province which has not got the proper share of the funding. Fraser Health is not getting the adequate funding to provide all the services we need. We are close to 650,000 people. And we need a new hospital. We announced the hospital today. We need more mental health services. We need more home care. We need to have services close to the home. We must be very inclusive, be respectful of Surrey. Surrey is paying the fair share of taxes. We must get the services back to Surrey. That's why today we made the major announcement for the hospital that will be built as soon as we form the government. Hospital is going to be made in Cloverdale. This is something so important for Surrey. People have used this political football for a long time, and today, for the first time, our leader came and he made the commitment. We were all there. We are going to make it. You make a note of this. And we.
Jenny Sims. Jenny Sims.
Thank you, Anita, and thank you to the Surrey Board of Trade and SABA for giving us this opportunity. I'm very excited about our plans for healthcare and what we have delivered. Whereas the Liberals for 16 long years neglected Surrey and kept announcing a hospital over and over again. They even went to the piece of land where the hospital was going to be built. And then magically, they sold the land before they left. So we have done a concept plan. We have hired the architect, so the business plan is well on its way. We have the land, it's government land in Cloverdale, and come the new year, it will go to procurement and then the building will start. There are those who will try to mislead, but if you go to the Fraser Health bid, BC bid, you will see all the work that has been done on this. This hospital is going to be built, but not only that, after 16 years of neglect, we could not wait for the hospital. We've done 2 urgent care centers. We've done a nurse practitioner center. We've got the Roshni Clinic, and we have invested major money into making sure.
To the candidates of Surrey Newton, what is your party's perspective on transportation needs in Surrey? Paul Boparai, we'll begin with you.
Hello, thank you, Anita. My name is Paul Boparai. I'm running for Surrey Newton for the Liberal Party. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Actually, that's a good case about, well, first of all, thank you for South Asian Business Association and also to the Real Estate Board. I work closely with them, actually I'm in the finance business, so I know Narinder and Victor as well. And I was actually had the privilege of being a member of the chamber before you switched over. So before that, we just, like Dr. Chima just said, we just had the announcement of the new hospital, and I was on 96th in King George. And I think it took me about an hour to get to my office on 152 and Highway 10 because there was an accident. So I'm glad that we were putting money forward for transportation and building infrastructure because we definitely need it. We have, we're going to be the largest city over Vancouver soon, and we have people coming in, but we need to also provide infrastructure for them. So I'm happy that Andrew has included that in the $8 billion And
Harry Baines.
Thank you, Anita. And I'm really happy to be here to participate in a very, very important democratic system. Harry Baines, as I just said, a candidate for Surrey Newton, BC NDP. Look, I think record is clear. BC Liberals stood in the way of expansion of a public transportation into Surrey. There was never any referendum done when the Millennium Line was built, when the Evergreen Line was built, when the Airport Line was built. But when time came and the turn came for Surrey, and the BC Liberals said, we want to have a referendum. Ask people of Surrey, are you going to pay more taxes if you want to have that extension done in Surrey? We said that's wrong. Surrey is going to be the largest city in the province, and it needs services to go along with those population. So what we did when we formed government, we said not only 1/3 that the provincial government used to pay for public transportation, we will pay 40%. We got federal government to come with 40%. We approved line in Surrey. And now today we have announced additional extension all the way to Langley. So $1.6 billion is already approved. Today we have said that there will be another $1.5 billion.
To the candidates of Surrey Green Timbers, back to you. And what is your perspective on opening the Pattullo Bridge when it's rebuilt with 6 lanes instead of 4 lanes? What's your party's perspective on the Pattullo Bridge? Dilraj Atwell, we'll begin with you.
Dilraj had to leave for a prior engagement. So
okay. Rachna Singh, over to you on the Pattullo Bridge.
Thank you, Anita. A very important issue for the Surrey residents. Pattullo Bridge, as we know, it is very old, and we needed to replace it. It was a demand that the Surrey residents were asking for. Our government's commitment, as soon as we came to power, rebuilding that bridge. All the contract has been assigned. It is like a one of its kind bridge. It is right now going for a 4-lane bridge, not for the 6-lane. The reason being because the New Westminster does not have the infrastructure to have those 6 lanes. But when this bridge that will be built, that will have the capacity to move on to the 6 lanes when the New Westminster, they have that provision in there. So, but one thing that I really want to mention, that this is a bridge that is going to be a modern bridge that will really cater to the needs of the Surrey commuters, and will a great asset in the transit investments that we are making for Surrey.
To the candidates of Surrey Whalley, what is your party's perspective on supporting the forestry industry? Shakur?
Yes, Anita, thank you very much. Forestry sector has been struggling to stay competitive. So our party's perspective is elimination of PST for a whole of the year, which will have a great impact on workers, families, and small businesses. And yes, absolutely. If I look at my riding, Pattullo Bridge is being replaced by 2 lanes. Not going to have such a huge impact as we are looking for. But yeah, Andrew Wilkinson and BC Liberal, we know that resource center is especially forestry is in dire need. And within the last 3.5 years of current government, they haven't received the love and respect they need. So we are really focusing on making sure that they get the attention that is needed.
Bruce Ralston.
Great. No, so forestry is a foundational industry in British Columbia, the backbone of our economy, particularly in rural British Columbia. Under the BC Liberals, during their 16 years, over 30,000 jobs were lost and over 100 mills were closed. What we have seen in these times, these tougher times, is we've taken steps to diversify the offering of the forest industry in British Columbia. Ravi Kahlon, the MLA for Delta North and the Parliamentary Secretary for Forestry, has been out talking to people and consulting on mass timber. Mass timber is a value-added industry that British Columbia has a leading advantage in, and will create a new industry, more jobs. There are a couple of mills in British Columbia that do that, but our hope is and wish and the direction that we're going is to build that sector.
To the candidates of Surrey Guildford, during this pandemic, homeowners are renovating, but they're not focusing on energy efficiency. The Fraser Valley Real Estate Board wants to know what your party's platform is around incentives to encourage people to perform energy efficient retrofits. Jody Murphy, to you first.
Hi, thanks, Anita. Yeah, I'm Jody Murphy, the BC Greens candidate for Surrey Guildford. This is a really important issue that strikes at the heart of several of the BC Green Party core principles, 6 core principles, including ecological wisdom and sustainability. And it's very important to the BC Greens that everyone in BC have the opportunity to be the most energy efficient they can, and including looking at our energy sources and making sure that they're as clean, as green, and as efficient as they can be. So there isn't a specific platform plank announced from the Greens yet on the specific issue around homeowner renovation subsidies, but it falls well within the principles that we would look at and the kinds of support that we would give to BC citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Dave Hans. Dave Hans, please unmute your line.
I'm an engineer from profession, and nobody knows the importance of saving the energy more than me. And I can tell you that BC Liberals will ensure that we invest in energy and environment, and the buildings that we're going to build, they're going to be environmentally friendly, passive housing. We have seen it in the past, and that's the process that we had started, and we'll continue to do so. We need to protect our environment, and the programs that we brought when we were in power, we will continue to do so, and which NDP failed to do, and we will bring them on. And the construction, I know construction is important, but on the other hand, saving energy is also important. The programs that we're going to bring in, we know already step 1 code, step 2 code, and step 3 code are already in place, and we can implement it. We're just not going to talk about it like NDP. We are going to implement it, and that's what Liberals do. We don't promise, we deliver.
Gary Begg.
Well, good jobs and livelihoods are important to any future, and any future requires a clean energy. The commitment of our government has now, for more than 3 years, been to concentrate on those industries and those products in homes that allow us to live in an environment that will make it safe for all people to live. All people will benefit from a clean energy plan. We have instilled it, we have installed it, and that's something that we will continue to do. A clean energy and a good economy are inextricably linked. We share this planet with everyone else in the world. We accept it's our responsibility for what we have for our children. The policies and programs already in place will serve us well in the future, as they have up till now. And it's our commitment that we will continue to ensure a strong future for all.
To the candidates of Surrey Fleetwood, is it going to be a Massey tunnel, or is it going to be a Massey bridge? Is it going to happen when the election is going to be over? Dean McGee, we'll begin with you. Please unmute your line. Dean McGee.
Thank you very much. Dean McGee, Surrey Fleetwood. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Okay, Dean McGee, Surrey Fleetwood, BC Green Party. The Massey Crossing bridge or tunnel, the land that the crossing will be built on is very soft, very unstable. I worked on the South Fraser Perimeter Road, and now when you drive to the ferries, especially if you drive through the Bridgeview stretch and also through the Burns Bog stretch, you'll see lots of bumps in the road because we're dealing with some soft, unstable ground. I have heard from engineers that building a bridge would be a big mistake, and I would obviously listen to the engineers. The tunnel, the crossing, whatever it is, needs to have transit involved, probably light rail between White Rock and Richmond. I have waited in those tunnel lineups.
Jack, sorry, Gary Thint.
Anita, I'm an engineer by profession, and I trust in engineers. And I think the study was completed almost at the verge. We spent millions of dollars under the previous BC Liberal government to do the study, and it was pretty much certain that the bridge can be constructed on to Massey Tunnel. That bridge will be constructed. We will replace it with a 10-lane bridge. We don't have to go do all those engineering studies again because quite a bit of that work was completed before. We just have to start from there onwards. And I can assure everyone that if the BC government, BC Liberal government comes in power, then we will be building a 10-lane bridge on top of Massey Tunnel. And as I said earlier, I fully trust in the engineering designs that we have available today in the most advanced country that we live in.
Jagrup Brar.
Anita, we need to build, the additional, whether it's tunnel or bridge as soon as possible so that people can start moving freely. That's very important. But the previous BC Liberal government proposed a 10-lane bridge that was a tolled bridge. And that's why the federal government refused to be part of that process, and there was no funding by the federal government. So we are working with the federal government and also with the local mayor, whether it's Surrey, Richmond, and Delta. So we are going to finalize the plan by the end of this year, and it will be a toll-free crossing. There will be no tolls for this crossing, whether it's a bridge or a tunnel. And also the federal government has already committed to be part of that process because there are no tolls. So we are going to build this thing, but it's surprising that in the middle of election and you will.
To the candidates of Surrey Cloverdale, what is your party's perspective on education investments in Surrey and south of the Fraser for K-12, for SFU, and for KPU? Rebecca Smith, we'll begin with you.
Thank you, Anita. I'm Rebecca Smith for the Green Party in Surrey Cloverdale. Education is a core platform for the BC Greens. We believe that everyone needs to have a sustainable education and be able to move forward with their lives. We totally believe that there has not been enough attention paid to the education sector. We're disappointed in the fact that while the BC NDP promised to eliminate the portables over the course of their term, they have not. There in fact are more portables now than there were when they started. For 16 years prior to the NDP government, the BC Liberals were consistently underfunding education and leaving us in the dark with over 7,000 people in portables in Surrey alone. The BC Greens commit to funding education, providing early childhood education and continuing education for those to move forward in sustainable education, sustainable economic positions, and building a future economy. We need to do this.
Marvin Hunt.
Thank you, Anita. Marvin Hunt, running for the BC Liberals in Surrey Cloverdale. We are totally committed to the education of our children and our grandchildren because they ultimately are the future of British Columbia. But the challenge is that Surrey keeps growing, and that's the exciting and great part about it, because the NDP have discovered that it's more of a challenge than they thought. You'll remember they promised to get rid of all the portables in 4 years, half the portables in 2 years. In fact, what's happened is portables have increased by 95, which is 34% more than when they took power. But what we have to do is we have to focus on the building. And yes, absolutely, we will continue the program of building, but we also have to continue the process of developing the trades, developing the professions. We need more teacher seats. We need more medical doctors. We need to change the system of how we take foreign doctors as an example. So we need to be working with all of our universities, to be able to do that and to make sure.
Mike Starchuk.
Thank you, Anita. I've lived in Surrey almost all my entire life. And, it's interesting that my son he went to the same school in an elementary school as I did. And, over the 16 years, I've seen what the Liberal cuts to schools have been, leaving classrooms run down and overcrowded. And when I take a look at the last 3 years of what the BC NDP have done, they've invested in 18 new or upgraded schools in Surrey. We are getting 8,900 students out of portables and helping that happen with all of these new spaces that are going on. And when I think about what you talked about, or the question that was there about, post-secondary, when I take a look at SFU, that's there in Surrey, what a great place when we talk about creating space for new doctors and new practitioners and new nurses to try to create something that's there, or even KPU, that's going to be right across the street from that brand new hospital that's coming to Cloverdale, and the community that will come with it. So the educational opportunities that are there now with the BC government and John Horgan's team is far greater than what happened in the previous 3 years that were there, where there was only.
To the candidates of Surrey South, what is your party's perspective on WorkSafe BC, the focal point really during this pandemic for health and safety protocols, and also PPE, perhaps? Tim Ibbotson, we'll start with you.
Well, I'm a small business owner myself. I own a small construction company. And I think that WorkSafe has been a great leader on the work sites. I think our province keeping the construction open was very profound. And I think that the leadership that they've taken has been great throughout the COVID at the advising of Dr. Bonnie.
Thank you. Stephanie Cadoux.
Well, thank you. And every business owner has had the requirement to work with WCB or WorkSafe, and every injured worker has a relationship, certainly, with WorkSafe, and it's an essential part of our worker safety system. Absolutely. Through COVID, they've done, I think, a remarkable job of trying to help businesses get up to speed on how to operate safely in the new world, the go forward world. But certainly when an organization has significant financial reserves, it's surprising that they weren't prepared to help small businesses purchase the necessary safety PPE that they needed. And a BC Liberal government would ensure that WCB or WorkSafe, I go back to the old term,
Pauline Greaves. Pauline Greaves.
Thank you. In terms of WorkSafe BC, the safety of individuals and workers are clearly really important, and it will help very much so with their engagement and involvement in moving forward and ensuring that work environment continue to be a safe and healthy place for individuals to work. For business, small or large businesses, it's important, especially through this pandemic, in that it is able to acquire, because this is all new. What it has done is allow for them to see what worked and what hasn't, to create new standards that will end up improving new protocols, so that should we be faced with any situation like this in the future, they will be prepared and they can give information fairly quickly. It is important that they're aligned with public health so that they can move together and coordinate what is required for an effective work environment.
To the candidates of Surrey White Rock, a pathway towards economic development recovery is international trade. We're a border city. What is your party's perspective on that? Pixie Hobby.
While the BC Pixie Hobby, BC Greens, South Surrey White Rock, while the BC Greens don't have a specific policy plank on the topic of international trade, I can speak to this from the perspective of being a Green, and that whatever policy we might develop on this would be based on our principles of sustainability, respect for diversity, ecological wisdom, social justice, and nonviolence, and certainly would be in line in keeping with the federal Greens policy on international trade, which is to encourage such trade, but make sure that our policies reflect proper ecological behavior.
Trevor Halford.
Thank you, Trevor Halford, Surrey White Rock. I think for us is that we've got to be competitive, and we've got to be competitive in Canada and throughout the world. And one of the biggest ways to do that is through how we're looking at how we're doing different taxes. And I think for us overall, we're feeling like we are overtaxed, and it is very, very hard to encourage investment, whether it's foreign or national, into British Columbia when we've got a very high structured tax regime. And that is something that we need to really, really dive more deeper into if we want to try and attract investment, whether it's foreign or whether it's national or local. We also need to make sure too is that we are giving support. Specifically, I'll talk again about forestry. Forestry has always been the backbone of British Columbia in terms of our resource sector, and it is an industry that is absolutely struggling right now. And that is something that we need to turn our attention to, and not just give words, but we actually need to get stuff.
Brent Smith, please.
Hi, Bryn Smith, NDP candidate for Surrey White Rock. For us, it's not just a matter of a tax base. The tax system is what it is. We can obviously change or adjust it as need be. But the fact is that a strong COVID recovery is going to be necessary in order for us to be competitive internationally. And the BC NDP is set to expand that. We're looking to expand businesses' access to new markets by expanding the BC Export Navigator program, which helps local businesses find and access the new global markets. So we're seriously considering how we're going to play out on the international stage. But for us, it comes from a strong recovery from COVID, first and foremost, because the rest of the world is still grappling with this issue. And we've been able to move past it in a way that other places have not. And the fact is that that's going to be what fuels and sustains our growth. It's going to fuel our competitiveness. And we need a strong tax base in order to do that. We couldn't have had these small business supports if we didn't have that tax base. So by suggesting that we simply slash taxes and then slash benefits, it's not.
To the candidates of Surrey Panorama, Strata Insurance is your topic. The Fraser Valley Real Estate Board wants to know, do you commit to mandatory training to Strata Council members, knowing the issues we're having right now with Strata Insurance? Gulzar Chima, over to you first.
Sorry, it took me a long time to. Thanks for the question. I will definitely take up this question. I'll talk to my party and we'll come up with a solid plan, comprehensive plan. We must respect Strata Council's ability to function. We have to see that people are abiding by the rules. And I think there are more things needs to be done for real estate. And I think the economy and the jobs and how we have the post-pandemic recovery, I think those things will be combined, and and then also I think the comprehensive plan will tell us in the long run then how we work with every organization. We will work with you and Sabah and the real estate board and come up with a policy. I think for me to say at this time a solid answer, yes or no, I think we need to work out. We are open-minded, but every policy we're going to sit down with the people who are affected. I think we should not prejudge anything.
Jenny Sims.
Thank you, Anita, and thank you for that question. I think I've been talking to so many constituents who are so concerned at how strata insurance has spiked up. As you know, it's a private sector, and the Liberals, when they were in power, removed red tape and they removed some of the protections that would have been there. And we've been working with the Real Estate Board and other groups, the strata groups, in order to come up with a solution, and we're committed to moving in that direction, so much so that in the platform it says that if we don't find a solution through adjustments and working with the private sector, then we might seriously have to take a look at a public insurance service. And it's always interesting to me in the House, the Liberals were always, ICBC privatized. On the other hand, when it came to the private sector, they would be saying to us, what are you doing? Well, we have a comprehensive plan, but it's not one we're going to impose. It's one where we're going to work in collaboration. And
to the candidates of Surrey Newton, what is your party's perspective on climate change and climate change plans impacting business? Paul Boparai. Please unmute your line.
Anita, okay. So like I said, I'm new to this process, first time candidate for Surrey Newton. I'm obviously learning about the issues. I know one thing that hasn't helped with carbon and emissions is people sitting idle when there's no bridge or no expansion of the tunnel, and the NDP hasn't done anything about it for 3 years. Now they said that, they still had one more year to do something, but they decided to call this election during a pandemic, which is not helping anybody. Or I think obviously the pandemic itself has taken a lot of cars off the road and that. But I think they just keep increasing the carbon tax. But that was a few of the new taxes they introduced, is to keep increasing it. But what are they going to be doing with it? I think our party is committed to climate change and bringing in incentives for electric vehicles and like we were talking about with the housing, giving incentives.
Time.
Harry Baines.
Thank you very much. I think it's one of the questions that is very, very important. I think not only for us, but I think coming generations. I think we need to leave our water, land, and air in a shape that our coming generations will have a healthy lifestyle. So we have taken a real serious initiatives to deal with this issue. And we are committing to net zero emissions by 1950. We are investing heavily in electric vehicles, having more charging stations all across the province, and incentivize even the secondhand electric vehicles. So, and we also already are electrifying our industrial bases. So I think, we have a very comprehensive plan to deal with our environment, because not only that we must do it, but we owe to our children and their children. This is our future. We can't have fossil fuel based economy.
To the candidates of Surrey Green Timbers, back to you on your last round of questions. How are you going to make British Columbia and in partnership with other cities investment friendly? With technology investments, attracting businesses, attracting our manufacturing sector, creating those good quality jobs. Dilraj Atwell, are you here?
He has not rejoined. No.
So Rachna Singh, over to you.
Thank you so much, Anita. And I think this is a great question, especially during the crisis that we are going through. And BC NDP has a very robust plan to support our business, to attract new business, to giving the incentives. We are giving the 15% non-refundable tax breaks to the small and medium-sized businesses so that they are able to hire more workers. We are also putting in a 3 million grant program for our business industry so that they are able to access those grants, and especially during the crisis that we are going through. and also looking for the different what COVID has taught us is more about technology, how to use the technology and how to make a better use of it. So using those technological aspects to boost our business industry, also giving a
time.
To the candidates of Surrey Wally, what is your party's perspective on ICBC and BC Hydro and impact to citizens and businesses? Shakul Khan, we'll begin with you.
Rita, thank you very much. Shaukat Khan for Surrey Wally. We are talking a lot about NDP and the performance in the last 3 years. So we need to reflect back and see what they have done in those 3 years. 150,000 British Columbians have lost their jobs during COVID-19 pandemic, and NDP have no plan to get their jobs back. But just to touch base on ICBC, British Columbians need and deserve a choice in their car insurance. At BC Liberals, we believe in giving consumer a real choice so that they can do whatever they want to do, and they continue to pay as they continue to pay some of the highest rates in Canada for less coverage. Let's examine the best insurance systems for consumers around the world, take the best practices and save money for BC motorists. So you saw the announcement that came out that we are going to finish the monopoly of ICBC, and we will have those private insurers come in, which will give a relief to the young drivers who are paying more ICBC insurance premium.
Time.
Bruce Ralston.
It's rather startling that the party that created the dumpster fire at ICBC is now proposing to invite private participants into the market. Everyone knows, and studies show, that rates will only go up if private insurance gets into the market. They pick off the top 25% of the drivers, the good risks, and leave the rest for the public sector, which will drive rates up for all of those people, the majority of people in British Columbia. So it's a wrong-headed plan. And in fact, the Liberals were in power for 16 years. They didn't privatize. They didn't invite the private sector into ICBC because it works. Although they destroyed it in the last couple of years by taking money from ICBC and putting it into the budget. BC Hydro. We're electrifying the economy. Rates have gone down for the first time in a long time last year. And BC Hydro is an important
time.
To the candidates of Surrey Guildford, how are you going to reduce red tape to help business if you come into power through the BC government? We'll begin with Jody Murphy.
Hi, thanks again, Anita. Jody Murphy, the BC Greens candidate for Surrey Guildford. I remember speaking to the same topic in 2017. And as I mentioned on the earlier question, the BC Greens have policies and programs that are targeted at small business. Keeping businesses afloat, keeping people employed is just an integral part of keeping the economy going. And whether the Green Party does look at some transformative type things with the economy, but it's always about keeping people employed, keeping services going for everyone. I think it's really important to note that we're here in the election talking about different campaign promises. The NDP isn't actually promising anything that's so new or different that it was worth actually having an election for. Everything that they are talking about are things that could have been promised, could have just been done, could have worked together and implemented with the time remaining in their term before the next election. It's really an unnecessary waste of taxpayer money and time to be having this election right now.
Time.
Dave Hands, you're next.
Hi, I'm a small business owner myself, and I do know what kind of problems we are facing. There are 8,000 businesses that are impacted in the last six months, and we need to make sure one of the main things that you do need right now is the PST cut, and this will help the small businesses, and this will help the jumpstart, and not only that, the service industry is banking on the the service industry that we are in, the restaurants, this is impacted by COVID big time. So the main thing that we need to focus on is to give them a hand. The PST is one of the major things that is going to help them. It's 7%. You're looking at a major setback during pandemic. A lot of restaurants are shutting down, services are shutting down, small businesses are shutting down. This is the time we don't.
Time.
Gary Begg.
Thank you, Anita. This is a government that has been one of the most transparent and helpful to businesses during a difficult time. The best predictor of future performance is past performance. So I invite you all to look at the performance of this government when it comes to helping small businesses in every case. My own office, for example, here in Surrey Guildford is a good example of the degree to which we go to ensure that our citizens, including business owners, are afforded opportunities to ask questions and receive answers. The purpose of a community office such as mine is to be there for people when they need help. And every constituency office with the new Democratic government has been empowered to help people make decisions for themselves and for their businesses. Unlike the BC Liberals, who are concerned only with the top 2% and those at the very top, we work with people every day. Anita, you will know this well. We work.
Time.
To the candidates of Surrey Fleetwood. During the pandemic, the arts and culture industry, our creative economy, has been compromised. If you come into power, what will you do to support our arts and culture sector? Dean McGee, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Dean McGee, Surrey Fleetwood. Try that again. Dean McGee, Surrey Fleetwood, BC Green Party. So the party doesn't have a specific policy about culture, but again, going back to the 6 basic principles, that social justice, respect for diversity, the best way to promote culture is to promote cultures and to have diversity, diverse cultures, to encourage people from all sorts of different cultures. And Surrey is probably the best example of that, of any city around, the kind of diversity that we have here. So the diversity and respect for diversity and social justice will help with the culture of Canada, BC, and Surrey.
Gary Thin.
Thank you, Anita. Good question. Gary Thin, Surrey Fleetwood candidate for BC Liberal Party. I think with this PST announcement that we are giving 7% off on first year and then 3% in second year, it's also going to help somehow the arts and cultural associations throughout BC. Because the 2% small business income tax, that is also implied to some of these sectors, and they are going to be helped big time with this PST rebate. Now, on top of that, I know it's under City of Surrey, but the Fusion Festival that we have in Surrey, it's a matter of pride for us. And BC Liberal government under our umbrella will try to do everything possible to promote the art and culture, because we are living in a multicultural environment. It's a mixed society here, and we respect all cultures and their traditions, and that's why I think every time.
Jagrup Brar.
Thanks, Anita. Jagrup, NDP candidate for Surrey Fleetwood. The first thing to make sure that we can support the small and medium-sized businesses is to keep the COVID curve flattening. And I'm very proud to see that we have been able to keep BC one of the safest places on the earth, and that's very, very important. And I think, we have announced $1.5 billion to support the small and medium-sized businesses, and that also includes $300 million grant program, to small and medium-sized businesses, basically struggling small and medium-sized businesses, and that's about 15,000 businesses that can benefit from that. And I just want to say that the Liberal plan for PST is going to benefit only the top rich people. The more you have, more you can spend, more you can make out of it, but not the average person or small business people cannot get much out of that. So we have a plan that works very well. First of all, keep the BC's
time.
To the candidates of Surrey Cloverdale, one of the challenges during the pandemic has been around childcare and childcare investments in Surrey. If elected, what will you do around childcare investments in our city? Rebecca Smith.
Thank you, Anita. Rebecca Smith, Surrey Cloverdale, Green Party candidate. The Greens are specifically committing to supporting young families, those with children that need help returning to work or even just staying at home. We are promising up to $500 a month for families with children under 3 and a stay-at-home parent. We want to recognize that ECE, or early childhood education, is important and a fundamental to providing education for our young families and for our citizens. We would recommend and provide support for professional development of ECE workers, educators, and creating certified programs so that we actually have the staff we need to staff childcare facilities. We would look at the expansion of available physical spaces, prioritizing partnerships with public schools, community not-for-profits, and First Nations. We'd look at up to 25 hours of free ECE per week for 3 and 4-year-olds for families.
Time.
Marvin Hunt.
Thank you, Anita. Marvin Hunt, Surrey Cloverdale, BC Liberal candidate. Great question, Anita. From 2005 to 2017, the BC Liberals created 39,959 spaces. That's 3,330 spaces per year. I want you to notice that the NDP have promised universal $10 daycare, then it became an empty slogan. The only one is the federal pilot project that's happening. They promised 24,000 spaces. May 2020, they had only 3,490 spaces open, even though they technically had funded 16,000, which was only funding on paper. City of Vancouver, 0 spaces opened for $22 million that was spent. I'm sorry, the NDP's daycare has been a complete disaster. I'm proud of Stephanie Cadoux, the work that she did with the BC Liberal government, that we created 3,000 spaces per year. We will get back to doing that. And
Mike Starchuk.
Thank you, Anita. Mike Starchuk, NDP candidate for Surrey Cloverdale. As a father and grandfather, I know the difference between affordable childcare can make. I mean, for too long, the families that have struggled for childcare costs for a very, very long time. My daughter is one of the benefactors of what the BC government has done with funding childcare spaces. The BC Liberals, they canceled a program that saved families money on childcare, and we know that they'll do it again. And we're calling for, the fee reduction. They call that as expensive. John Horgan and our BC NDP team will continue the creation of childcare spaces, the most in history. We know that we've had 2,500 spaces funded in Surrey, and we're going to keep on moving so that Surrey families don't have to choose between growing their families and growing their careers, because that's how we do a recovery that works for everyone in the city.
To the candidates of Surrey South, the pathway towards economic recovery, another ingredient in the overall recipe, is providing opportunities for women, whether it's career or entrepreneurship, for newcomers, our very multicultural city, or Indigenous populations. What kind of support are you going to give to these groups if elected? Tim Ibbotson, please begin. Please unmute your line.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. The BC Greens have laid out have laid out funds. I don't have them in front of me because I'm always first. But the BC Greens have laid out plans for the underprivileged, and they have funding that's based on realities of the people in the communities. It's not big, giant global promises to win campaigns like canceling the PST or spending billions of dollars on oil and gas subsidies. They're real plans with real funds delivered in communities for those underprivileged specifically. And they're laid out in their platform, which will be coming out here in the next couple of days.
Thank you. Stephanie.
Thank you, Stephanie Cadoux, Liberal candidate for Surrey South. Well, we have a history actually here. We set up the Women's Economic Advisory Council to the Premier when we were in government to look at these issues specifically. And one of them, of course, as you mentioned, women have been hit most hard through this pandemic. One of the things that is important to that is childcare. And I can assure you, a BC Liberal government will ensure that childcare supports continue to grow in our province. Secondly, I've introduced an equal pay bill 3 times in the legislature, looking to finally put an end to the unfair practice of women being paid less than men. The NDP failed to call it. John Horgan called it a stunt, and now he has promised it in his platform. So I think you should look at the candidates, look at the track records. I've been advocating for women my whole career, and I'll continue to do so in government.
Pauline Greaves.
Pauline Greaves for the NDP for Surrey South. In terms of the pathway for recovery, under John's plan, workers and small businesses would be put first. They're at the front of the economic recovery. This is including affordable rent, where there will be a freeze on the rent for individuals. We're helping family with children. That would include free transit rides for children up to the age of 12. There is clearly some challenges around new immigrants, and I disagree with Stephanie to say that the Liberals have really helped them. There's very few programs around that is actually allowing for them to be integrated in our society. With the recovery program, Recovery Investment Fund provides additional money that will allow for new businesses, and individuals, small business can go through the mentoring program. They can access new market by getting information.
Time.
To the candidates of Surrey White Rock, Surrey has the highest number of urban Indigenous groups within British Columbia. If elected, how will you support Indigenous entrepreneurship, Indigenous careers under the paradigm of UNDRIP? Pixie Hobby, you're first.
Thank you, Anita. Pixie Hobby, BC Green candidate for Surrey White Rock. There isn't another political party that has such respect for the Indigenous people of our country than the Green Party, and I'm proud to be associated with the BC Greens for that reason. In fact, one of our key underlying principles that pervades all our policies and platforms is respect for diversity and respect for the environment, and the Indigenous people are an incredible example for us to learn from. Everything from the First Nations forestry, the way they practice forestry, to the way they administer justice should be a lesson for all of us to learn from. But specifically, what the Greens would do in terms of supporting Indigenous business would be to
Trevor Halford, you're next.
Thank you, Trevor Halford, BC Liberal Party, Surrey White Rock. I be very clear on this, and I think that a lot of the backbone of our society is built on Indigenous relations, and I think in Surrey we have to be very, very proud, and White Rock as well, of the culture in the past that our Indigenous have brought and continue to bring. And I know out here in the, for instance, Samiamu, they have continuously been innovative in the ways that they celebrate their culture. And for us is that we have a real obligation to make sure that we are supporting our Indigenous cultures in every way, including small business, and including in ways in how we educate our children in the ways of Indigenous people. And I think that's something that we've got to continue to celebrate, because it's something that we need to be, and we continue to be very, very proud about.
Brent Smith, you're next.
Thank you. Bryn Smith, NDP, Surrey White Rock. I just want to actually echo some of the comments that were made earlier. I agree that Indigenous relations are part of the backbone of our society, and they're one of our greatest and most long-lasting injustices. I'm very proud of the NDP for bringing in UNDRIP, being the first place in the world anywhere to ratify it in law in our parliament. I'm proud of the fact that we're stepping up for ordinary people and for small businesses. And I think the fact is that our economic recovery will target Indigenous people as well. It'll benefit everybody. So I'm very hopeful that through this process, we'll be able to create more jobs. We'll be able to rebuild demand in the economy, and that will rising tide will lift all boats.
Thank you. To the candidates of Surrey Panorama, what is your party's perspective as a measure of economic recovery to enhance and expand the resource sector in British Columbia, such as LNG, forestry, oil and gas investments, the pipeline? Gulzar Chima, over to you.
I think this is something our party is very proud of. Our previous record from 2001 to 2016, we have done a tremendous job. We made this province from have not to have province, because we are known for the builders, we are known for infrastructure. We made the agreements with the other countries, expanded our forestry. Our administration was out there at the world level, making deals, making sure that people get the product, and we opened the markets. We opened the market in China and South Asia. I think we need to diversify. BC is a powerhouse. We must work together and also enhance all the capability of every business. We should give them all the opportunity to move forward. We should not be the obstacle. I think NDP government has been an obstacle in many ways, and that has to change. Economic recovery will only come if we get out of the way, help them, trust everyone. The business community is so...
Jenny Sims.
Thank you, Anita. And I'm very proud of our record when it comes to resource development, and also when we're looking at moving forward into the technology sector, because I think that one of the fastest growing sectors right here is technology. And in our platform, you will see major incentives and promotions for that sector, because we've got to grow that sector. I think we have the potential to be the second Silicon Valley. We've also taken our wood, and instead of logs going off on trucks to other countries, which the Liberals did, we're going to grow decent paying jobs here through manufacturing and using our woods differently. And I'm so proud of the fact that it was our government. What the Liberals could not deliver, we delivered. And that was a deal on when it came to LNG. And the work on that is well away. And we know that we have to invest in the business sector, help the business sector.
Time.
And finally, to the candidates of Surrey Newton. Candidates, Newton has been left behind in terms of revitalization for a variety of reasons, whether it's transportation investments or the like. How will you work with the city of Surrey to revitalize Newton, to make it a destination? Paul Boparai, you're first.
Thank you, Anita. Actually, this is one of the main reasons why I'm decided to run for the Liberal Party in Surrey Newton. I've been a resident in Surrey Newton since 1990. And even since I've been in high school here, I haven't seen much improvement. I've seen Surrey Newton is actually kind of the the starting point for a lot of our businesses in the community. You look at successful businesses that in our community that are massive. You look at Fruitacana. Where did it start? It started in Newton. So now my focus is trying to help the next generation of business owners or entrepreneurs in our community. I think that's going to be my focus, because that's what I've done. I've started my own business from ground up, brick by brick, in the last 10 years. I will be fighting for resources to Surrey Newton. And I keep asking that question to the NDP, what have they done for us in the last 15 years? Nothing.
Harry Baines, over to you.
Thank you, Anita. And I think the example is very clear. How much Liberals, BC Liberals love Surrey and Newton is that they ignore it. And I think when you look at it, schools are being built in Newton right now because people or children were studying in portables, thanks to them that $0 was given to for capital improvement between 2006 and 2010. No schools were being built. We're building schools. 8,900 school seats are being built right now. And when you look at the LRT, one of the first decisions of our government was to approve LRT to Newton. And working with the BIA, Newton BIA, Philip Aguirre, we're working hard, and we are trying to turn Newton into an entertainment center. And we need to make sure that our neighborhoods are safe. We want to make sure that the people who are walking in their neighborhood parks or using public facility, they feel safe. Their children are safe.
So candidates, now please offer your concluding remarks. You can say anything you want. You need to convince the voters. Remember, everyone, to the audience, voting day is October 24th. And let's begin with Surrey Green Timbers candidate, Rachna Singh.
Thank you so much, Anita. It has been my privilege to represent the constituents of Surrey Green Timbers in the legislature. And I'm so proud to be part of the government that has been able to listen to the needs of my community, whether it was affordability, eliminating tolls, eliminating MSP premiums, bringing up the minimum wage, or investing in our services like schools, and education and healthcare sector, bringing 2 urgent primary care centers, 80 new school projects, 8,900 new seats, childcare spaces, affordable and safe childcare. And I think a lot has been accomplished, Anita, and more needs to be done. And that's why I'm re-seeking this election to continue the work and being the voice of the residents of Surrey Green Timbers.
Dilraj Atwal, also from Surrey Green Timbers.
Hi, thank you, Anita. It's very important for us to bring the youth forward, and it's a very good opportunity for us to get the youth involved. It's been always said the youth doesn't come forward. We don't take part in politics. We don't take part in policies. But this is a time when we have to show faith in the youth, bring the youth forward so we can all work towards a better future. If we start investing today into our daily routines and policies, that's when we can have a better future. That's why I'm here in front of you, requesting all of you to show faith in the youth so we can move forward, have a better future for us, our community, make it better, prosperous, and more healthy, more safer for generations to come. Thank you.
From Surrey Wally, Shaukat Khan.
Thank you, Anita. And again, we all know that John Horgan's decision to trigger a snap election has put relief funding for businesses and everybody else on hold, just to extend his job for another 4 years. I'm working hard to reach out and connect with Surrey Wally area in a very short time that is allowed. Please follow me on Facebook or call me at 778-682-9357 for a quick discussion. This is the time to bring the change in BC and Surrey Wally and deal with the issues of homelessness, addiction, and help for small businesses, and move Wally to be an area where families prosper and businesses grow. I worked in Wally. We have food drives for homeless, support of local food banks, and have also worked with businesses for 3.5 years. And I am a strong believer that BC's Liberal plan, announced with great reforms and tax breaks, will bring immediate relief to the families and businesses and rebuild and restore confidence in BC economy. Thank you.
Bruce Ralston.
Great. Thanks, Anita, and thanks very much for hosting this debate. I'm Bruce Ralston, the NDP candidate for Surrey Wally. Your members will be interested in one of the things in our platform, among others, but $300 million fund for business, not loans, but grants. We talked to businesses and they said, look, we're maxed out on loans, a grant program. So we'll have grants available up to $30,000. The application process is due to open, I think, next week. That's one thing. But British Columbia is attracting investment. It's a place where people want to be, whether it's the Canada LNG project, $40 billion, the biggest private sector investment in the country, Fujitsu, quantum computing, MasterCard Cybersecurity Center, Artemis outside of Goldmine, outside of Quesnel, just put in $125 million. Investors are flocking to British Columbia because you have well-educated workers, a good public health system, great training for
the candidates from Surrey Guildford. Gary Begg, you're first.
Thank you, Anita, and thank you everyone for appearing here tonight. It's important that BC keeps moving forward for all of us. I'm proud to be part of a government that has a plan to get people through the pandemic and ensure everyone benefits from our economic recovery. We'll build on the progress we've made to improve healthcare, create jobs and opportunities, and make life more affordable. Under our plan, workers and small businesses will be put at the front of our economic recovery, not just the wealthy and the well-connected. Andrew Wilkinson promises tax cuts for those who need them least. Our plan is to focus on people who need them the help the most. The future of British Columbia lies with the return of the BC NDP government, not a return to the Liberals of the past.
Thank you. Dave Hand.
Thank you, Nita. I promise to constituents of my riding that I'll be your voice in Victoria. We need to rebuild BC. It's the time to restore confidence. We need BC Liberals in power more than ever to jumpstart this economy. We need people to progress as our party puts them first. We are not just a party of one class. We are a party of all people. I request all British Columbians not to fall for $1,000 bribery by BC NDP that they announced yesterday. Do not fall for it. We need to answer this election. We need to answer them by putting them out of power. As we all know, this is a pure power grab attempt. And make sure you go out and vote for BC Liberals. Thank you.
Jody Murphy.
Hi, Jody Murphy for the BC Green Party in Surrey Guildford. Both big parties have let down the people of BC with unkept promises, wasted time and money on unnecessary elections, and disrespectful treatment of vital workers who aren't just workers. They are citizens who want security, stability, affordability, respect, and peaceful home for family. These parties make promises for big dollar single items for short-term plans, but BC Greens offer comprehensive, detailed plans that deliver improvements that are big picture, long-term investments in healthier, more sustainable lives. Because government is for people, including kids and grandkids and what we leave behind for them. Only the BC Greens have actual plans for this. Surrey Guildford is not just another NDP Liberal seat. Your vote for BC Greens can make a difference. Only a BC Green Party MLA can bring these ideas and influence to the legislature. Thank you very much.
The candidates of Surrey Fleetwood. Jagrup Brar, let's begin with you.
Thanks, Anita. Once again, Jagrup Brar, candidate Surrey Fleetwood NDP. The choice in this election is very clear. Andrew Wilkinson has a plan that helps the wealthy and well-connected and makes everyone else to pay for it. And we can stick with John Horgan to continue keeping people safe and to keep the focus on the things that matter most to the people. So we have made a lot of progress during the last 3 years. We have eliminated tolls, we have eliminated MSP, and we are building schools and hospitals in Surrey. And moving forward, we are providing to the people of British Columbia a recovery benefit. That's a one-time $1,000 direct deposit to family whose household income is under $125,000 annually, a one-time $500 direct deposit to a single person whose income is $62,000 annually, and $300 million recovery grants to small business.
Dean McGee. You're next.
Thank you. Dean McGee, Surrey Fleetwood, BC Green Party. There are more than two choices this time around. We keep hearing one party made a lot of problems over 16 years. The other party says we started fixing things, but we promise we'll keep fixing them if you give us some more time. So they called the election too early. We have another choice here. Elect some BC Greens to represent Surrey and the area. And you all saw the last few years where the BC Greens were the Southern Vancouver Island Party. Let's make the BC Greens the Surrey, Langley, Fraser Valley Party. Thanks.
Gary Thin.
Thank you, Anita. My name is Gary Thin, BC Liberal candidate from Surrey Fleetwood riding. I care about bringing fresh ideas on the table. That one size fits all kind of thinking needs to be changed. Working with Surrey School Board as a trustee for the last 6 years, I have come across many issues that we face day to day with our schools, with our families, with our children. With NDP's promise of getting rid of all portables from Surrey in the next 4 years was just a lie. And don't get into that lie again, voters, in these elections, because the fact is, and I'm talking about the numbers, in 2017, when the BC Liberal government left, they announced $100 million worth of schools and infrastructure projects for Surrey. The NDP came in power, and then they re-announced all those projects again. And now they've been totaling that to $400 million investment. But the fact is, we have added 95 portables.
The candidates of Surrey Cloverdale. We're going to begin with Marvin Hunt.
Oh, well, thank you, Anita. I'm Marvin Hunt. I'm running with the BC Liberals in Surrey Cloverdale. I want to thank you for the privilege that you have given me to serve you for 23 years on Surrey Council and now 7 years provincially. We've been through tough times before. We called it restraint in the 1980s. We had to deal with the NDP downloading in the 1990s. We had a global recession in 2000, and COVID is what we're facing today. I have experience in building this city and building an economy while keeping taxes low. I have the experience. I love this city. My children and grandchildren live here too. So on October 24th, I'm asking you to vote for Marvin Hunt in Surrey Cloverdale. We are the BC Liberals, and we know how to get things built.
Rebecca Smith.
Thank you, Anita. I'm Rebecca Smith. I'm the Green candidate for Surrey Cloverdale. I have worked in this community for over 10 years, working with city officials, with the Chamber of Commerce, with the Board of Trade in its on its committees. I have worked with not-for-profits, and I have worked countless times with for charities within the city. I am working to build a better place for our citizens, for my neighbors, my friends, my family. What this election is about is not just about Liberal or NDP. It's about other choices. And when we're considering our options, we need to talk about not just the options currently, but the responsibility for the future. The BC Greens are the only party that has been there to hold the NDP to account, to tell it like it is, and to talk about what we need to talk about: climate change, sustainability, not just about environment, but about economy and about health and wellness. It's people.
Time.
Mike Starchuk.
Thank you, Anita. Mike Starchuk, BC NDP candidate for Surrey Cloverdale. As a former firefighter, I know how desperately we need a second hospital and cancer treatment center in Surrey. As a parent and a grandparent, I know how important providing funding to our education system is. Creating an economic plan to get out of the pandemic is a top priority. Marvin Hunt has been silent on the issues that matter to people in Surrey Cloverdale. Marvin Hunt stood on the land where a new hospital was supposed to be and then looked the other way while the land was sold by Andrew Wilkinson. Even the Surrey Panorama Liberal candidate agrees that that was the wrong decision. Now Marvin Hunt wants the city to hold a non-binding referendum on policing and have the people pay for it. John Horgan and the BC NDP are building a second Surrey hospital, including a cancer center. The BC NDP is protecting our province through COVID-19. And I know John is looking out for the families as the economy recovers. What we can't afford now are cuts to hospitals and schools. On October 24th, I'm seeking your support to join the BC government as the first BC MLA, NDP MLA for Surrey Cloverdale and the first professional firefighter elected in BC. Please vote for me and John.
The candidates of Surrey South. Let's begin with Stephanie Cadoux.
Thank you, Anita. And first to Mr. Ibbotson and Ms. Greaves, congratulations on your candidacy, and I wish you a good campaign. I care deeply about our community in the province. I've had the honor of representing it for 11 years, and I think right now, more than ever, we need a government that understands the very real link between a strong economy and our ability to provide the supports for those who need them. As an MLA and cabinet minister, I've proven I can get things done. I'm asking for the chance to do more. We need leadership and a practical plan to help us recover. We delivered the strongest economy in the country and steered BC out of 2 major recessions. We have a proven track record. There's lots in our platform on social supports, which I feel very strongly about, but this is a business association, so let's focus on that. We've put forward a plan to eliminate the small business tax, the PST, to take action on the sky-high property tax assessments by implementing split assessments, and much more. We've got a plan for small business in the province, and we've got a talented team across BC. I'm asking for your vote.
Time.
Pauline Greaves.
Thank you, Anita. I must say that it is unbelievable to hear the responses and the promises being made by the Liberals. The Liberals are trying to convince you that they care about us. They care about the residents of Surrey, and they now have a plan to really help us. The Liberals were in power for 16 years, and for 13 of those years, Stephanie Cadoux promised individuals and families to help us make a better life, to better the lives of citizens of Surrey. And for 13 years, she and the Liberals failed. This is how they care about us. No hospital, land sold. No new schools. Mismanagement of ICBC. Increased speculation that made us unaffordable housing in our community. We moved further out, and then they charged us a toll so we could get to work to make a living.
Tim Ibbotson.
Thank you. And also thank you to Stephanie and Pauline. I see I have my work cut out for me, no doubt. I'm running because the NDP lost me when they called this election. The best part about the government was probably the 2 green seats that kept it in check and kept it accountable. And the fact that John Horgan went against his word and just called an election and bailed on that means that we can trust them about as much as we could trust the Liberal government that tanked us for 14 years. The BC Greens are the future. I'm running for my kids and I'm running for the next generation. How do we not know about the $1 billion that the NDP has been subsidizing oil and gas when they're only recovering $200 million in royalties? How are we not talking about that? Because we're in the middle of a pandemic and the Liberals are throwing money like a $7 billion GST rebate, and the NDP are just trying to get people in fear using an American tactic. The future that we can't wait for is the planet.
The candidates of Surrey Panorama. Gulzar Chima, you're up first.
Hi, my name is Dr. Gulzar Chima, and I'm the BC Liberal candidate. I live in the riding. I have worked in the riding for 27 years. I also represented part of this riding in 2001. I understand the importance of effective representation. I understand what's missing in Surrey. Today, we see everywhere the NDP has broken promises, whether it's the taxi industry, trucking industry, infrastructure, hospital, you name it. We have nothing, they have nothing to show for the public safety. People are confused about their promises, but they know one thing for sure, that I will work for them. Our government brought this province from have not to have province. Time has come to have an economy which is vibrant, open-minded, have an international presence. I think to pay everything, we need to have the economy. We are the builders. We do things. We build roads. We build highways. We build hospitals. Today, we made the announcement for the hospital. I and my colleague colleagues will deliver that. We deliver, we speak for you, and we tell the truth.
Time.
Jenny Sims. Jenny Sims.
Jenny Sims, candidate running to be an MLA in Surrey Panorama. I stand on my very proud record of advocacy and working for the people in Surrey, especially Surrey Panorama. I have advocated and delivered. I want to remind people that my opponent voted to get rid of the Human Rights Commission. He stood by while students' learning conditions, class size, and support for special needs were decimated. They drove a truck through duly negotiated agreements. They attacked HEU workers and made our seniors' care very, very vulnerable. In the meantime, since I have been an MLA, we have built 18 schools and expansions and seismic upgrades. We are going to be building a hospital. It's well on its way. While they sold the land after making promises, so who could trust them again? I'm looking at the MSP premiums being gone, the new urgent care center.
Time.
And the candidates of Surrey Newton. Let's begin with Harry Baines.
Thank you, Anita. And I'm so thankful for the support and feedback that I received from my constituents for the last 3 years. I think elections are all about choices. Can you trust a party that said we will not sell BC Rail? They sold BC Rail after the election. They said they will not bring HSD, then they brought HSD after the election. They closed over 200 schools across the province. We are doing what we said we would do. We're building schools, 8,900 student seats. We're building new hospital we said we would build. We are expanding SkyTrain into Surrey. That's what our promise of. We brought a Human Rights Commission. Every time they come into power, they got rid of Human Rights Commission. So I think the tolls are removed, MSP premiums are removed. That's what our promise was, so we delivered. But much more to do. We are now promising that we will have a second medical school, which is highly needed because we need more doctors and nurses to be trained here. We're building South Asian heritage.
Time.
And Paul Boparai.
Thank you, Nia. Paul Boparai, Surrey Newton for the BC Liberals. I want to get more youth involved in the riding into politics. So I know they like things that are online. So I just want to let them know my website is up, paulboparai.ca. They can follow me on Facebook at Paul Boparai Surrey, Twitter at Surrey_Paul, Instagram is Paul Boparai Surrey. And I just want to say that the PST, the 0% PST that we're doing in the first year is really going to help people in Surrey Newton because we're involved in the construction and trades business. And I think you're going to save at about 19,000 per new house. So I think that's pretty much the roof on a house, and that's going to be able to use towards other things for their kids and tuition and sports. So I think that's great for our community. If I have a few more minutes, I'll just sit here and read the 23 new and increased taxes that the NDP have done since in power. Income tax, corporate tax.
And that was our last comment for the evening. We're right on time. And no matter who forms government, they're going to work with the Surrey Board of Trade and the South Asian Business Association to make Surrey an opportunity city. Thank you so much to the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board for your sponsorship. Remember to vote on October 24th.
ਸੋ ਅੱਜ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਡਿਬੇਟ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਸਰੀ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟਸ ਦੀ ਆਰਗੇਨਾਈਜ਼ਡ ਬਾਈ ਸਰੀ ਬੋਰਡ ਆਫ ਟ੍ਰੇਡ ਅਤੇ ਸਰੀ ਸਾਊਥ ਏਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਐਸੋਸੀਏਸ਼ਨ ਨੇ ਮਿਲ ਕੇ ਇਹ ਡਿਬੇਟ ਦਾ ਅਰੇਂਜ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਜਿਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੈਜੋਰਟੀ ਆਫ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟਸ ਤਿੰਨੇ ਹੀ ਪਾਰਟੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਕਾਫੀ ਭਾਰੀ ਸ਼ਿਰਕਤ ਸੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਘੱਟ ਮਿਸਿੰਗ ਸੀਗੇ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟਸ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ 'ਚ BC ਲਿਬਰਲ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟਸ NDP ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟਸ ਗ੍ਰੀਨ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟਸ ਸੋ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮੋਸਟਲੀ ਵਾਰਤਾਲਾਪ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮੇਜਰ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਸਰੀ ਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਚੱਲੀ ਜਿਸ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਅਹਿਮ ਮੁੱਦਾ ਆ ਸਰੀ ਅਨਦਰ ਹਸਪੀਟਲ ਸੋ ਉਹ ਹਸਪੀਟਲ ਬਾਰੇ ਅੱਜ BC ਲਿਬਰਲ ਲੀਡਰ ਐਂਡਰੂ ਵਿਲਕਨਸਨ ਨੇ ਅਨਾਊਂਸਮੈਂਟ ਕੀਤੀ। ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ NDP ਦੇ ਜੌਨ ਹੌਰਗਨ ਵੀ ਹਸਪੀਟਲ ਦੀ ਅਨਾਊਂਸਮੈਂਟ ਕਰ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਆ। ਇਹਦੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੰਟਰੋਡਿਕਸ਼ਨ ਨਿਕਲ ਕੇ ਬਾਹਰ ਆਇਆ, ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਵੀ NDP ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅਨਾਊਂਸਮੈਂਟ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀਗੀ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਲੈਂਡ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆ ਲੀਗਲੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਹਾਲੇ ਹਸਪੀਟਲ ਦੇ ਨਾਂ 'ਤੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ। ਐਂਡ ਦੇ ਸੈਡ ਵਨਸ ਇਫ ਦ BC ਲਿਬਰਲ ਫਾਰਮ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਰਾਈਟ ਵੇ ਉਹਦੀ ਬਿਲਡਿੰਗ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰ ਦੇਣੀ ਹੈ। ਦੂਜਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵੱਡਾ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਉੱਭਰ ਕੇ ਆਇਆ ਉਹ ਸਕਾਈ ਟ੍ਰੇਨ ਦਾ। ਦੋਨੇ ਹੀ ਪਾਰਟੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਅਨਾਊਂਸ ਕੀਤਾ ਆ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਕਾਈ ਟ੍ਰੇਨ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਸਰੀ ਤੋਂ ਲੈਂਗਲੀ ਤੱਕ ਐਕਸਟੈਂਡ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾਊਗੀ। ਸੋ ਇਹ NDP ਦਾ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਪਲੇਟਫਾਰਮ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਲਿਬਰਲਸ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਅਨਾਊਂਸ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ। ਲਿਬਰਲਸ ਦੇ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟ ਇਹ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਕਿ ਪਿਛਲੇ 3 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਹਸਪੀਟਲ ਤੇ ਸਕਾਈ ਟ੍ਰੇਨ ਇਹ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ NDP ਵਾਲੇ, ਪਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੰਮ ਹਲੇ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ। ਤੇ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੀਜਾ ਮੁੱਦਾ ਉੱਭਰ ਕੇ ਆਇਆ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਡਿਬੇਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਵਾਰਤਾਲਾਪ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਪਟਾਲੋ ਬ੍ਰਿਜ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਆ ਉਸ ਦੀ ਵੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਅਨਾਊਂਸਮੈਂਟ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀ, ਪਰ ਉਸ 'ਤੇ ਵੀ ਕੰਮ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਇਆ। ਸੋ BC ਲਿਬਰਲਸ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ 6 ਲੇਨ ਬ੍ਰਿਜ ਬਣਾਉਣਾ ਹੈ, ਜਦੋਂ ਕਿ NDP ਕਹਿ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀ 4 ਲੇਨ ਬ੍ਰਿਜ ਬਣਾਉਣਾ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟਸ ਹੈ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਵਾਦ ਵਿਵਾਦ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਾਫੀ ਚੱਲ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ। ਪਰ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਡਿਬੇਟ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਕਾਫੀ ਸਿਵਲ ਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਸੋਹਣੇ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਰਗੇਨਾਈਜ਼ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ। ਐਂਡ 1 ਮਿੰਟ ਦਾ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਕੋਲ ਟਾਈਮ ਹੁੰਦਾ, ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮਾਈਕਰੋਫੋਨ ਮਿਊਟ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਕੋਈ ਕੰਟਰਾਡਿਕਟ ਨਹੀਂ, ਇੱਕ ਦੂਜੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੋਈ ਬਹਿਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ। ਸੋ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਪਾਰਟੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਬੜੇ ਸਮੂਥਲੀ ਆਪਦੇ ਪਲੇਟਫਾਰਮ ਦੱਸੇ ਹੈ। ਤੇ ਬੇਸਿਕਲੀ ਗ੍ਰੀਨ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦਾ ਆਪਦਾ ਪਲੇਟਫਾਰਮ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਮੇਨ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਦੋ ਪਾਰਟੀਆਂ BC ਲਿਬਰਲ ਅਤੇ NDP ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਇੱਕ ਦੂਜੇ ਨੂੰ ਕੰਟਰਾਡਿਕਟ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਪਿਛਲੇ ਕਈ ਸਾਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਲਿਬਰਲ ਗੌਰਮੈਂਟ ਸੀ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਅਚੀਵਮੈਂਟਸ ਕੀਤੇ ਹੈ ਜਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬ੍ਰਿਜਸ ਬਣਾਏ ਹੈ, ਪੋਰਟਮੈਨ ਬ੍ਰਿਜ ਜਾਂ ਗੋਲਡਨ ਈਅਰਸ ਬ੍ਰਿਜ ਐਂਡ ਦ ਰੋਡਸ ਫਰੋਮ ਮੈਰਿਟ ਟੂ ਕਲੋਨਾ। ਸੋ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਵੀ ਕੈਪੀਟਲ ਪ੍ਰੋਜੈਕਟਸ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ। ਐਂਡ NDP ਇਹ ਪਿਛਲੇ 3 ਸਾਲਾਂ 'ਚ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਪਰਾਲੇ ਕੀਤੇ ਉਹ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਕਾਫੀ ਵਾਦ ਵਿਵਾਦ ਦਾ ਵਿਸ਼ਾ, ਕਾਫੀ ਕਨਫਿਊਜ਼ਨ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀਜ਼ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈਗਾ ਟੂ ਕਲੀਅਰਲੀ ਡਿਸਾਈਡ। ਸੋ ਹੌਲੀ ਹੌਲੀ ਟਾਈਮ ਨਾਲ ਪਲੇਟਫਾਰਮ ਇਹ ਐਵਰੀ ਡੇ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਨਵਾਂ ਅਨਾਊਂਸਮੈਂਟ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ, ਕੈਪੀਟਲ ਫੰਡਿੰਗ ਬਾਰੇ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ, COVID-19 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਕਾਲ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਲਈ BC ਲਿਬਰਲ ਤੇ ਗ੍ਰੀਨ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਕਾਫੀ NDP ਨੂੰ ਬਲੇਮ ਕਰ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਤਿੰਨੇ ਪਾਰਟੀਆਂ ਕਾਫੀ ਇੱਕ ਦੂਜੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੋਆਪਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਨਾਲ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਸੀ। ਬਜਟ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਪਾਸ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ, ਐਵਰੀਬਡੀ ਵਾਜ਼ ਅਗਰੀ ਔਨ ਮੋਸਟ ਆਫ ਦ ਮੁੱਦੇ, ਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਰੀਜ਼ਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀਗਾ ਕਿ COVID-19 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਕਾਲ ਕਰਦੇ। ਐਂਡ ਸੋ NDP ਦਾ ਇਹਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਕੋਈ ਕਲੀਅਰ ਜਵਾਬ ਨਹੀਂ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ। ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਆਪਦਾ ਮੈਂਡੇਟ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਸੋ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਦੇ ਪੋਲ ਦੇਖੇ, ਪੋਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਕਾਫੀ ਲੀਡ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਸਦਕਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੀਏ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਮੈਜੋਰਟੀ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਬਣਾ ਕੇ, ਹਰ ਰਾਜਨੀਤਿਕ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦਾ ਇਹੀ ਉਮੀਦ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਆਪਦੀ ਮੈਜੋਰਟੀ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਬਣਾਉਣ। ਸੋ ਇਹ ਵੈਰੀ ਇੰਟਰਸਟਿੰਗ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ, ਇਟ ਵਾਜ਼ ਏ ਸਨੈਪ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ, ਇੱਕੋ ਦਮ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਕਾਲ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ। ਐਂਡ ਲੋਟ ਆਫ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟਸ ਆਰ ਵੈਰੀ ਨਿਊ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟਸ, ਬਹੁਤ ਨਵੇਂ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟ ਹੈਗੇ ਹੈ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਪਰ ਟ੍ਰੇਨਿੰਗ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ, but they are learning all the issues as it goes. Lot of senior and ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ politician ਹੈ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਰਨ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ। So very interesting debate organized by Surrey Board of Trade and Surrey South Asian Business Association, ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਸ਼ੋਰਟ ਸਭਾ ਕਹਿ ਦਈਦਾ। ਸੋ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਆਰਗੇਨਾਈਜ਼ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਇਹ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਤੱਕ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਹੁੰਚਾਉਂਦੇ ਰਹਾਂਗੇ। ਜਿਵੇਂ BC ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਨਵਾਂ ਟ੍ਰੈਂਡ ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਅਨਾਊਂਸਮੈਂਟ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਐਡੀਸ਼ਨ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟ ਕਰਕੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਤੱਕ ਜਿੰਨੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਇਸ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਬਾਰੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਰਵਾਂਗੇ। ਸੋ ਇਹ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਆ ਕਾਫੀ ਇੰਟਰਸਟਿੰਗ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਮੰਨਿਆ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ। ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ COVID-19 ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕੇਸਿਸ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਇਨਕਰੀਜ਼ ਹੋ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ ਆਲ ਓਵਰ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ। ਸੋ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬ੍ਰਿਟਿਸ਼ ਕੋਲੰਬੀਆ ਇਜ਼ ਰੈਲੇਟਿਵਲੀ ਲੱਕੀ, ਹਾਲਾਂਕਿ ਵੀ ਰੀਚ ਐਟ 10,000 ਮਾਰਕ ਟੁਡੇ, 10,000 ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕੇਸਿਸ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਰਿਕਵਰੀ ਰੇਟ ਵੀ ਕਾਫੀ ਹਾਈ ਹੈ, ਡੈਥਸ ਵੀ ਰੀਜ਼ਨੇਬਲੀ ਲੋ ਹੈ ਕੰਪੇਅਰ ਟੂ ਰੈਸਟ ਆਫ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ। पर इस तो अलावा जिहड़े अमेरिका दुनिया के बाकी हिस्सों के स्पैशली इंडिया के जिहड़े कोविड के नंबर काफ़ी वध रहे हैं। सो इस करके जिहड़ा कंपेन का जिहड़ा माहौल है वो काफ़ी डिफरेंट है, क्योंकि वड्डी मीटिंग नहीं कर सकते, ज़्यादा कोई गैदरिंग नहीं कर सकते, समॉल जिहड़े ग्रुप्स हैगे है 8-8 10-10 पीपल जिहड़े कैंडीडेट जाके मिल रहे हैं। सोशल मीडिया काफ़ी यूज़ कर रहे हैं। साडा जिहड़ा मीडिया चैनल हैगा इहदी काफ़ी वरतों की जा रही है। डिफरेंट कैंडीडेट्स आ रहे हैं, आपदे व्यूज़ वो दे रहे हैं, आपदा जिहड़ी ओपीनियन दस रहे हैं। सो जिहड़ा टोटली डिफरेंट इलैक्शन दिस टाइम। डोर टू डोर जाण तो थोड़ी जी झिझक हैगी है, हालांकि कैंडीडेट्स जा रहे हैं, आपदे ब्रोशर्स ड्रॉप कर रहे हैं। साइनेज का बहुत बड़ा रिवाज हुंदा सीगा, जगह जगह ते सारा शहर भर जांदा सी साइनस नाल, इलैक्शन साइन नाल। वो काफ़ी लिमिटेड नंबर हैगा राइट नाउ। मे बी जिहड़े बाकी कैंडीडेट आ हौली हौली आपदे साइन तैयार कर रहे होने हैं। सो ये चीज़ां जिहड़ियां हैगियां बड़ी ही डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ इलैक्शन, बड़े ही डिफरेंट माहौल दे विच हो रहे हैं। तो दोने ही पार्टियां, क्योंकि जदों ग्रीन पार्टी ने आपदी सपोर्ट पुल कर ली, पुल नहीं की सी, उन्होंने एक कंप्लेंट की सी कि वी विल कंटिन्यू सपोर्टिंग द NDP गवर्नमेंट अंटिल प्रॉपर इलैक्शन डेट नैक्सट ईयर May of 2021। एंड मेरी जो गल सोनिया फर्स्टनो नाल हुई, जिहड़े कि ग्रीन पार्टी के लीडर है, उन्होंने कहा कि असी वी वर फुल इन कॉन्फिडेंस। तो उन्होंने इस गल की कंप्लेंट भी की कि NDP ने यह एग्रीमेंट ब्रेक करके ये जिहड़ा इलैक्शन कॉल किया है, यदी कोई जरूरत नहीं सी। लिबरल्स भी यही कह रहे हैं कि कोविड-19 के माहौल दे विच इलैक्शन करने की लोड़ नहीं सी। सो आपदे विचार जिहड़े तिन्ने पार्टियां दे हैगे है। NDP आपदा पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू रख रही है, देयर रूलिंग पार्टी राइट नाउ। BC जिहड़े लिबरल्स है उन्हों का आपदा पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू है, एंड ग्रीन पार्टी आपदा जिहड़ा पक्ष है वो तुहानूं दस रही है। सो इस ही तरह जिवें जिवें इनफॉर्मेशन आऊगी या कोई होर डिबेट या कन्वरसेशन होगी, वो तुहाडे असीं रूबरू कराउंदे रहांगे, ताकि साडे जिहड़े व्यूअर्स है वो चंगी तरह अप टू स्पीड रहन सारियां पार्टियां दे पॉलिसीज़। एंड वोट पाउण दा जिहड़ा बहुत जरूरी है, ये तुहाडा जिहड़ा फंडामेंटल राइट हैगा आ, क्योंकि तुसीं फिर कंप्लेंट नहीं कर सकते। तुसीं उस कैंडीडेट नूं, उस पार्टी नूं वोट पाओ जिहड़े तुसीं देखो कि वो वधिया काम कर रहे हैं, एंड दे आर बेस्ट फॉर ब्रिटिश कोलंबीया एंड बेस्ट फॉर योर राइडिंग। सो इत्थे इन्ना ही तुहाडे नाल विचार शेयर करूँगा। बाकी जिवें तुहानूं दस्सिआ कि टाइम टू टाइम तुहाडे नाल इलैक्शन बारे असीं अपडेट करते रहांगे। धन्नवाद।